Welcome back, my students, to a brand new episode of Comic Class. In today's lesson, we'll be looking at Stan Lee and Steve Ditko's The Amazing Spider-Man issue 17. And this is the return of the Green Goblin. We haven't seen him since I believe it was issue 13. And yeah, he's probably one of the coolest Spider-Man villains. He is Spider-Man's arch nemesis. And basically a fan favorite. So I think a lot of people are going to be enjoying this issue. And yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into today's story. Let's go. Real quick, guys, if you want to help me get more videos out faster, you can donate to the channel at the Cash App down below. This helps me treat these videos more like a job and will help the channel and videos to grow and come out more often. I appreciate anyone who donates or doesn't donate, and don't feel like you have to be a fan of the channel. You can still show your support by liking and commenting on the video, and with that out of the way, hope you enjoyed the video. So this story starts off basically giving us type of like a flashback or kind of like a recap of what happened in Spider-Man and Green Goblin's last encounter, which was actually their first encounter with each other and their first battle they had with each other. And we still don't know who the Green Goblin is at this point. He basically goes off back into New York City to try to find Spider-Man, and he's been waiting months to basically have a battle with him again. So months have passed since the last time that they had a battle with each other, which is really cool that we're getting in a type of like time frame. Now we see that Peter basically is in college, and or I don't know if he's in college or he's in high school, but either one, Flash Thompson is with Liz Allen, and he's basically saying that he has a Spider-Man fan club, and this is going to be important for later on, so just keep your mind on that. Now, the issue basically, the beginning of it focuses on Spider-Man trying to stop a robbery that he assumes is happening, but this actually turns out to be a scene from a movie that's being shot at this area, and it makes Spider-Man into a type of laughing stock, which is really funny. And this puts Peter into a predicament because he is being laughed at by J. Jonah Jameson, who wants to print on the paper of Spider-Man's, misfortune, basically, how he messed up on this situation. Now, we get to see interactions between Betty Brant and Peter, and I really do enjoy that Stan Lee and Steve Ditko did a really good job in making the relationship feel real, and that it wasn't like a here and now type thing. Did a really good job in piecing the amount of scenes these two got with each other. And we do get an interaction between Liz Allen and Betty Brant, and I'm pretty sure they'll become friends in the future, but at least at this point they see each other as type of like love rivals. For Peter, which is really interesting. So we get to see that interaction. That's pretty funny. We also get to see that Aunt May is basically still trying to set up Peter with Mary Jane, so that's like an ongoing plot point throughout these issues, and of course these plot points won't be resolved during the Steve Ditko Stan Lee run, because Steve Ditko left the book on issue 38. I believe Mary Jane gets revealed like issue 45, so he wasn't that far off from showing her off and revealing her, but that's not going to be in this run, so we won't dive too much into that, because that'll be something we'll talk about when we go through the John Romita era, if we go through that on the channel. Now, Spider-Man eventually shows up to the fan club of Flash Thompson for the Spider-Man, basically for Spider-Man. And at this fan club meeting, the Green Goblin makes an appearance and basically tries to kill Spider-Man by kind of like taking off one of his webs, basically snapping it while he's web swinging, try to get him to fall from a high, but Spider-Man's agility allows him to, land on the ground safe and sound. Now, Johnny Storm, which is the Human Torch, basically is in the audience with his girlfriend, and he realizes out of everyone that something's not right. And the Green Goblin makes his appearance, and basically, in front of Spider-Man, he basically gets to a battle with him, and we get to see more of Green Goblin's abilities and the stuff that he brings to the table. I believe this is the introduction of his famous glider instead of a broomstick, which will be synonymous with the character from this point on. So we have Jameson and Betty Brant in the audience as well, and we get to see the introduction of the pumpkin bombs, which are definitely iconic for the Green Goblin character and just super villainy in general. I think it's one of the most iconic attacks in all of the comic book villains, the Pumpkin Bomb. So the battle continues with Spider-Man and the Green Goblin, and it's a really interesting battle. And eventually, the Human Torch steps in when he realizes that there's a group of like burglars or robbers, and they're basically aiming their guns at Spider-Man, trying to get him in a sneak attack, basically from behind. And the Human Torch basically goes in front of Spider-Man, I guess, to let him know what exactly is going on. And the robbers basically they leave, and they notice that the Human Torch has found where they're at, with him, shooting like these fireballs at them. Now, the Human Torch goes in front of the Green Goblin, basically about to, do battle with him, and we get little panels showing us Betty Brant's reaction to Peter actually being there, with the, at the place that they're at, basically at the fan club. And the Human Torch basically it gets into battle with the Green Goblin after we see this scene with Peter and Betty's little panel. And he's basically using the smoke from his lighter to make it to where the Human Torch can't follow behind him because he can't breathe. It's really interesting because we get to see the Human Torch and Spider-Man basically both taking on the Green Goblin. And while they're doing battle, Spider-Man gets knocked down to the floor by the Green Goblin from the air, and basically overhears one of the people, I guess he's like a butler or something, and he basically says that he'll look for Peter Parker because I guess Aunt May had gotten sick and had a heart attack and that she was in the hospital. So Spider-Man basically seems to run away, but in reality is, going because his aunt might die. And he knows that the Human Torch is fighting the Green Goblin, and I guess he has trust that he'll be able to fight him, or at least get the people to safety or survive this battle, and just get the Green Goblin, basically get out of there, which he definitely did have the Green Goblin, escape. And the Human Torch is surprised, all the audience is surprised, J. Jonah Jameson is happy that he can put this in his paper about Spider-Man being a coward, and yeah, so we get to see that the Human Torch basically deflames himself, and he talks to his girlfriend, basically saying he knows something's off with Spider-Man, because he knows Spider-Man personally, and though he doesn't know his identity, he does know how he is, and this isn't like him. And we just get to see the reactions of all these types of different characters of, how they feel about what Spider-Man did. And yeah, so we get to see that Peter basically goes to see Aunt May, he gets the news from the doctor that she'll need to have rest for a few weeks or a month or something like that. And we just get to see the aftermath of, what Peter's basically going through. And that's how this issue ends, with Peter basically saying that, he doesn't feel like he's been there enough for Aunt May, and that's the reason why she had this heart attack, or that she's in this position. So the next issue basically is going to be dealing with all these plot threads that we got in this issue, and it can be looked at as almost like a single story, because they really do continue the stuff that we get the end of this page into the next issue. But that was Stan Lee and Steve Ditko's The Amazing Spider-Man issue 17, The Return of the Green Goblin. And yeah, this guest starred the Human Torch, and it actually was a really good issue. It was mainly a battle issue, to be honest, and which really surprised me. When you think of this age of comics, which I believe is called the Silver Age, I think this is the Silver Age, I'm not sure what era these comics are in, but you don't really expect, a complete battle issues, but this really did have a lot of action in it, and there's really not much to talk about. It mainly is broken down into three parts, being Spider-Man's misfortune, how he handled that situation at the beginning with the movie being shot. It deals with the action between Spider-Man, the Green Goblin, and the Human Torch, and it also deals with Peter's aunt, basically Aunt May, having a heart attack and being close to dying, basically, in that type of situation. And these three things basically make up the issue. But overall, very solid, and I definitely do recommend you go check it out. Link in the description down below to go check it out and read it for yourself. I always recommend you go read these for yourself, because it's definitely different than watching these videos. But that's gonna be all, guys. I hope you guys join me for the next issue when that video drops, and until the next video, God bless you. Until the next lesson, keep on reading those books.